Good day. My name is Arundhati Kani, and I'm an intern at Blockchain Lawyer, a firm which deals with blockchain and cryptocurrencies and its surrounding legalities. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies are the upcoming rulers of the roost in the tech world, already being the most sought after skill set for the present day youth. As the world turns towards these new technologies, it becomes essential to have the basics clear. As a youth, a lot of us feel very skeptical about treading into these new waters because of the lack of regulations and stuff. A survey was conducted by me under the tutelage of Blockchain Lawyer with the basic aim to understand how youth sees blockchain technology and its surrounding legalities. And what are the common questions which pop up in the mind? For the same, we connected with the founder of Blockchain Lawyer, Mr. Varun Sethi, to answer some of these questions. Good day, sir. How are you?
I'm very good. How about you?
I'm good. So, sir, as you know, I conducted under Blockchain Lawyer a survey which dealt with five basic questions on what blockchain was and what are the basic ideologies behind the blockchain. And the conclusions I came to were pretty surprising actually. So I would like your guidance into the same and help us dispel some of the problems. Is that great?
Wonderful. Rather, I think millennials are looking at this video. A very interesting observation that was made and a report that came out in LinkedIn. It stated that one of the hard skills, that is the technical skills, it ranked blockchain as the best or the most sought after skill for the year 2020. We see there's a massive surge in the job opportunities and the technical know-how, maybe an opportunity for you to set up your own startups. So happy to take up what queries you ask the millennials and what responses you get.
Perfect. Brilliant. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen to just
Sure.
give you a brief run.
Surely.
All right. There we go. As you can see, I'm sure that there's a set of five questions. And the first question, we can go question by question, right?
Sure.
So the first question was, who owns the blockchain? So when I put this question, I knew people might know what blockchain is, but they might not know who owns the blockchain, right? So it's a very interesting figure, as you can see on the screen, that a lot of them actually have no idea what blockchain is. And so how I understand is that it's something, maybe it's lack of awareness about how blockchain is. And quite a number of people have also said it's owned by countries. So could you throw some light on that?
Surely. So good that you got 127 responses, as I see, in a matter of couple of days. So that's rather intriguing. Seems that you really pushed people at your college to reply. So when I look at this query, who owns the blockchain? That's a basic question. And now that blockchain has been around for some time, I expect that the millennials would know this thing. But what is noteworthy here is that 12.6% of the people state that it is owned by one country or a group of countries, which means that roughly 88% people are not aware of the basics of blockchain. Now, this is, I would say, an opportunity as well as slightly concerning, given the fact that we already see global tech entrepreneurs, youngsters build products on blockchain technology. One of the massive use cases of blockchain is to build digital assets. And now that the world is moving from digital assets to decentralized finance, and from there to maybe NFTs are a big craze now. So I think millennials need to just pull up their socks on understanding who owns the blockchain technology. It's no single country that owns it, but this goes to show that there's there's a steep learning curve ahead.
Right. So would you say that, does it depend on the type of blockchain is it? Because far as I understand, there's a public and a private blockchain. So would you say these people who have said nobody owns the blockchain, would it apply to both these categories?
See, when we generally talk about blockchain, we are primarily talking about public blockchain. Public blockchain primarily because the core ethos of blockchain is decentralization, which means that no one owns it. There's no central authority controlling the actions. Today, when you look at the tech giants like, say, Google for that matter, Facebook for that matter, we know there's a certain board member team which is running the entire show. Going forward, we feel that blockchain, that is why it's called, it can radically transform. It's like rebuilding the internet from scratch using a new methodology of how we keep data. So it's like blockchain is like taking back the privacy of your data and not giving it to the centralized set of people. So if that ethos is to be talked about, then no one owns the blockchain and everyone owns the blockchain. That's the most correct explanation to it. Yes, there are use cases for private blockchains as well, but I'm personally not very fond of private blockchains, which are, again, have those problems of centralization. I still feel that from an experimentation perspective, private blockchains are good enough, but going forward, we are looking at more use cases for public blockchain only.
Understandably, because it probably goes against the ethos of the basic concept of blockchain, yeah?
Correct.
All right. So jumping on to the next question, do you think cryptocurrencies are illegal in India? Which was a very interesting question to put from my side, being a law student, because back in 2018, we read this Supreme Court judgment on whether blockchains were banned or not, with the RBI rolling out the regulations. And again, the same debacle, perked up in 2020 as well. So a lot of people surprisingly say that, no, it's not illegal. And surprising for you also say, yes, it is. So there's a debate over here. So would you clarify that for us?
Well, when you talk about the Indian context, India never made it illegal. That's a very clear statement in law. I'm surprised rather by the results that you're showing 127 responses with 40.2% of the people saying that it is illegal. Well, there was, I would say, a restrictive ban, which was called a ring fencing ban by the Reserve Bank of India to not allow conversion of cryptos into fiat currency, that is INR and vice versa. But nowhere in law in the last 3-5 years, when the regulations are still taking shape, have they ever banned it. Reserve Bank of India restricted conversion, and thereafter, that too also in 2020, March 4th, 2020, the Honorable Supreme Court overturned that judgment. So from that perspective, it was restricted earlier, now it is not even restricted. But yes, the regulation or the regulatory framework is yet, or I would say it's still work in progress. There's a very interesting development that happened by the end of last financial year, a few days back, when the Ministry of Corporate Affairs stated that if you're a corporate, you need to disclose your trading gains or profits that you've made in cryptocurrencies. That's one. Second, also you've got to disclose, say things like what are the current holdings at the end of the financial year, that's 31st of March 2021. And also in case made borrowings from others and then invested. So I think those are baby steps towards regulations, but is it illegal? No, absolutely not. The law is clear in that. Yes, there are restrictions. There are questions about calling it a separate digital asset class or not deciding on what to call it. But when I look at the global developments, India is still sort of work in progress. It's surely not illegal. What do you think as a millennial? Do you think it is illegal or not?
I wouldn't say, but then as a millennial, because we tend to be very influenced and tend to follow social medias and online portals a lot more. Whenever I read it, I usually see portals saying India banning cryptocurrency, moves to ban cryptocurrency. So for some reason that doesn't sit well with me. Because
Correct.
on one hand, as you said, there were a lot of regulations coming up, but then on the other hand, I don't understand why media or news houses or news hubs would portray it as banning when it clearly isn't. So is it
I think
something
I think
which,
you need to inform other people in your fraternity. The youngsters need to know the difference between restriction and banning. As a law student, I think that's a difference or a differentiating factor that you can surely determine. So it's surely not illegal in India. That's the conclusion.
perfect. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Do you think crypto markets differ from share markets? And so when I pose this question, I am myself not very clear on, say, why the two differ. But then that's what the way I see it. I think a lot of people are not, even though they know, as you can see, 74.8% people said that they know it's different. But I'm pretty sure a lot of us don't know why it's different.
Why it's
So
different.
yeah.
Well,
Just help us.
I think again it goes back to the same theory that we are rebuilding the financial infrastructure of the world. When I say rebuilding the financial infrastructure, it means that we are relooking at the financial ecosystem and the infrastructure that is available currently. When we look at the stock markets, they're highly regulated. Crypto markets are still highly volatile, primarily because there are massive lack of regulations. Any person today, giving you a very specific example. if a private limited company in India wants to go public through the share market route, it needs to have at least 3 years of distributable profit history. It means that it should be in 3 years of existence. No one can start a company today and do an initial public offering tomorrow. It cannot happen. It's not allowed in SEBI. Similarly, in crypto market, that is not the case. So you can start a company today and it's totally virtual. You offer your products or offer your idea to a certain set of individuals, and then you raise capital through them, which is still possible in the traditional market. However, you can then offer your stocks, or more correctly, the tokens of the cryptos, to anyone in the world. I think the regulation is required there, because there have been lots of these just idea generating companies not having anything on execution. So they raise capital and then they just vanish. So I think that needs regulation. Why? Because when you look at institutions like SEBI or RBI in India, they work towards investor protection, and that is needed in the long run. You just cannot have some techies writing some code and raising capital and then just not delivering on the promises. So it is radically different. The crypto market is radically different from the share market. I would say it has the potential of becoming more efficient. One key example, I think, if millennials want to know, is that share market has a specific time. It works from 9 to 3 in different time zones in different countries. It's slightly different.
Yes.
Let's presume it's like 6 to 8 hours in a day. Crypto markets are 24/7, 365 days. They do not stop. Everything is online. So from that perspective, yes, we've seen wild swings, we've seen ups and downs, but we've also seen some great value generation by these projects. They try to redevelop and reconstruct the financial ecosystem of the world. I feel that you should know a bit about share market before jumping into the crypto market, in case you want to understand what is market capitalization and other aspects, how demands and supply work. I would say, even if you're a lawyer or in case you're someone else, you need to understand some nuances of economics.
Right. So the base theory of economics applies to both, but then they're so different from each other. So having a background on one of them, say stock market, would definitely help you when they want to jump into crypto market, right?
Correct. So obviously it gives lots of information in case you're already aware of how the share market works. It runs the same ethos. Again, it's like offering something in return of something. So it's like shares against INR, or share against some fiat currency in the capital market. Similarly, in the crypto market, it's like tokens against certain value. It still runs the same principle, especially from an economics perspective, but from a technological perspective, it's different. I would say it is slightly more maybe challenging. Why? Because it works 24/7. You get affected by global events at an immediate instance, which does not happen. It takes a day or two for, say, a news in US to trickle down to the Indian stock markets and have an effect. I would say that it has surely got the potential. It may take a bit of more time, but it surely has the potential to reconstruct and better construct the financial ecosystem of the world.
Interesting. That's a very good perspective, actually. I think because as we're growing older, we want to take control of our finances. So the first things our parents try to teach us, besides the sensible banking opportunities, is stock market. So I think it's that age where all of us are starting to jump into stock market. So this concept is just another new playground for us. It's amazing.
Exactly.
All right. Moving on to the next question. Do you know what are stable coins?
Okay, interesting.
And so when I wrote this question
to you first. Should I pose that question to you first? What are stable coins?
Yes, I may not be able to give a concrete textbook definition to it, but I do understand that I can equate it to something which has a fixed rate, which has a fixed currency. Its price does not fluctuate. So that's my understanding of a stable coin. So for me, for example, an INR is a stable coin because I can convert it and the price remains relatively stable. But I'd like to hear your opinion on it, because a lot of us, more than 50%, a little more than 50% are unaware. Like, what is stablecoin?
Exactly. So I think stablecoin is an answer to one of the criticisms that was posed to the cryptocurrencies, that they are too volatile and people cannot enter that market. So what people started doing as a solution was that they gave a peg to the US dollar, or the INR for that matter. INR is still work in progress, but US dollar is sort of that peg is doing rather well. When I say that it is pegged to the US dollar, it simply means that, say, currencies, or I should correctly put it as digital assets, it's like they call it the programmable dollar, which is a very interesting word to use. Programmable dollar means primarily means that, say, for example, if you have, say, accepted 10,000 USD from people, you issue them 10,000 tokens which are pegged 1:1 to the US dollar, which is either called USDT or USDC. So, which is then again, they claim, such companies claim that they are audited by the big auditors of the world like Deloitte and PwCs. So interesting. So it just makes the dollar, it's like best of the both worlds. It is a crypto at one side, yet it is pegged and it does not have the volatility. So if today, if say INR versus USD 72, and tomorrow it goes up to 80 or it goes to 65, then the USDT value also changes in the same ratio. So it is, I would say, an answer to one of the criticisms that happened to cryptos being volatile. It is the answer to that volatility, that it is now stable. But it has limited use cases. I think it is good for on-ramping. On-ramping primarily means when you are converting from fiat to crypto, and off-ramping when you're converting from crypto to fiat. So it is good for people who don't know how to buy cryptos. You can maybe just deposit your dollars, get USDT, and then convert the USDT into, say, Bitcoins or Ethereums or other coins. So I would say it is a good entry point for people who are entering for the first time. So that's the answer to the volatility. Good thought, whoever developed it.
It is pretty marvelous. I wouldn't say, but that makes it a lot clearer for the rest of us. All right. The last question of the survey was actually it was a little bit of a fun question for me. Given a chance, would you invest in cryptocurrency? And so what is a little funny about it is that even though a lot of us don't necessarily understand the basics of it, we don't understand how it works, we don't understand the depth of the volatility crypto markets can get to, we still want to invest in it. So it can either stem from two things. Either we are very positive that this is new technology here to stay and, here to sort of, it's the new normal for us. So we're willing to invest in that. Or conversely, we just don't understand the depth, and we're just seeing, since it's cryptocurrency is new, it's popular right now. So everyone's jumping on the bandwagon and they're just seeing it's a get quick rich scheme for us, maybe in a negative connotation. So what would you like to comment on this? What are your views on it?
Well, this is while if you just scroll up, we find answers to the questions that most people find it illegal. That is what they are suggesting. So that question, I think number 2, do you think cryptocurrency is illegal in India? And 40% people said yes. And now if you scroll down, that is rather interesting. So people are still willing to invest, about 66.9 or 67. So almost 2/3 of the population are willing to invest. So this is what the millennials want to know. Again, I would say cryptos are not a quick buck scheme. They may not make you rich, rather they can make you poor faster. It is important for you to then understand and see why is it important to understand a new technology. It is primarily important to understand new technology simply because you need to see how the world is changing around you. How are people looking at things around and providing certain solutions to make a world a better place? So when we look at the financial system, the world today, we look at, there are lots of gaps. Say, for example, if I have to remit money from, say, US to India, a person, say, from Punjab has gone to, say, Canada to do some work, and he has to remit funds from there back to India. It takes about 3 to 5 days time with some documentation. That's inflow into India. And when you think of an outflow from India, which is even more comprehensive and even more complex. Now, if the transactions are genuine and the transactions are of repeat nature, can we then think of improving the time span of these transactions? That is what cryptos provide. There are some solutions that cryptos, they are able to do these transactions in a matter of minutes, if not seconds. So it cuts down on those transactions. Yes, it provides lots of challenges for FEMA and foreign exchange management laws, but that's I would say, a good problem to have. Why? Because it then looks at world differently. It will, I would say, escalate and speed up the financial transactions of the world, and yet creating a wonderful audit trail which can be verified later on. It cuts down on the cost and the time of auditing in times to come. So it does provide lots of uh, pros. However, there are challenges around how to regulate it. I think new laws need to be written, and maybe youngsters like you who are working in the legal field, it's an opportunity to become a contributor to the new law, or I would say the new financial ecosystem that is being developed. So while I look at, perhaps you can remove the screen share. So when I look at, say, things like what the millennials are doing currently, it is also interesting to note how can we contribute to the existing ecosystems of the world, and how can we take things ahead. When I look at, say, cross-border transactions, that's one of the most, I would say, highly regulated yet slightly inefficient. Why? Because for repeat transaction, it takes the same effort, same time, same documentation. You again got to repeat the same thing. However, in the crypto world, you can provide solutions. You can maybe automate some transactions, document it in a different manner, and then just saves time on both ends. It's also, I would say, one solution of killing centralized level corruption. Decentralization provides a wonderful option for people who do not believe in centralized challenges and problems. However, it's not all rosy and flowery. It comes with its own challenges. I would say that youngsters and youth like you can be, I think it's a wonderful time to be 20 plus in your early 20s and contribute to the upcoming ecosystem of the world. So I think you are at the right time doing the right stuff.
Here's hoping, man. Here's to hoping. So I think this has been really delightful. I mean, for me, for us, and speaking on behalf of everybody who's into crypto, I think we needed this much level, but much needed clarity on into the basics, because even though we try to understand a concept, I don't think it's possible to hunt for everything, especially for those, in fact, who are not from a legal background and jumping into it, or who are not from an economics point of background. So that creates a lot of issues for us. So the way I see it, as you've summarized, the blockchain is definitely, or at least public blockchains are not owned by anybody.
Correct.
And so that's the beauty of it, because it's so decentralized. Anybody can participate in it, and anybody can be secure in it. And your information is safe. It stays safe, and it's just an answer to
They call it
regulation.
trustworthy and immutable. So immutable transactions do not need auditing. So it saves the time, effort, energy for auditing. So it makes the entire thing more efficient and faster.
Yes, that is true. What I also find interesting is that it's not illegal, right? Because a lot of us had connoted that the word ban, which we read from social medias, literally meant illegal, which wasn't the case, because we now know that there are so many regulations which have been coming up for corporate bodies, true, but we are hoping it comes out for individual traders as well in the future. So that's something, again, and in the light of that, I love to see how a lot of us still, despite thinking it's illegal, we still want to invest in it. So now my question, I would say to my fellow people, would be, knowing the volatility of the market, knowing the ground reality, the little basics of it, would you, even if you've invested, would you want to hold it? Would you want to hold your cryptos?
Very nice.
So I think that's something we can take up in the next survey I might conduct. So
surely. Wonderful.
yes.
All the best for the next survey then, and meet you in the next one.
Looking forward. Thank you so much, sir, for answering all our questions.
Thank you so much.